Hi, I'm Jack, and this is the fifth video in this series about my A-Level Computer Science NEA. I scored 70 out of 70 for my project, and hopefully I can help you get a high score too. For my NEA, I decided to build a computer game with some basic AI based on an old abstract strategy board game. In this video, I'll be looking at stakeholder requirements, solution requirements, and success criteria in your NEA. Okay, so first of all, I do talk about stakeholders more in one of my other videos, but I felt specifically the stakeholder requirements fit better in here with solution requirements and success criteria. The stakeholder requirements refer to the specific needs, wants, and constraints expressed by the people you're building the software on behalf of or who are interested in your software. These should be based on what you learned in any research interviews with your stakeholders and any interactions you've had with them. I used a table to show this, with one column listing the different requirements and another explaining why that requirement was necessary or important. The next part is solution requirements. Here you basically just list any hardware or software you'll need to create and run your solution. This can include things as simple as a PC that was made this century, is capable of running Windows, an IDE like VS Code to actually, do the coding in, an internet connection. And you just justify why you need them, which, considering they can just be things like an internet connection, should be fairly easy. And the final and probably most involved part of this section is success criteria. Now, success criteria is quite vital to your project. As later in the evaluation, you'll come back to them and address them. Without well-defined success criteria, it's going to be quite difficult to achieve high marks in that section later on. I would recommend having at least 10 to 15 success criteria, as these really are a crucial part of your project. Now, to get your success criteria, you should try and break your solution down into individual objectives. I've heard it recommended to use the SMART format for defining objectives: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. These can make it easier to maintain focus on your core objectives, monitor your progress, and in the final stage, evaluate your solution against your original goals. If you have clearer and more testable success criteria, you'll be able to actually objectively demonstrate that your project actually is a success. I presented my success criteria in a table with 3 columns. The first column outlines what the criteria is, the second explains how I'm going to show evidence I was a success, and the third column justifies why I needed it. In the evaluation part of your project, you'll go back to this table and show whether your solution passes or fails each individual criterion by demonstrating the evidence that you talked about in my case, column 2 here. To decide on the success criteria, you could start by doing a bit of a brainstorm, noting down all the different things you're going to want in your end project to make it a success. It should cover the full scope of functionality, including any user requirements, security, performance, etc. You can look back at the previous parts of your analysis section to help you. Each one should be a single, unambiguous goal, although in my case, I do seem to have had so many that I seem to have merged some together. Make sure to avoid vagueness though, saying things like user-friendly, efficient, or fast. Instead, define exactly how it will be user-friendly, efficient, or fast. Don't say it should respond quickly, say it should respond in under 10 seconds, because you can test that and ensure whether or not you have met that criterion. Then you can just order your criterion in a logical way or group them in some way. For example, by security, functionality, user requirements, etc. Finally, you're going to need to consider how you will actually evidence all of them to ensure you can demonstrate they'll be successfully met. In my case, a lot of evidence would come from things like screenshots, some timing or testing, and then logging the results or taking a photo or video. And after that, you should justify each objective, explaining why it is necessary and valuable, and you actually need to include it. So that's the end of the 5th video of the series. There is a link to my NEA in full below if you want to check it out, and in the next video, I'll be looking at the design section of your NEA.